What happened to digital nomads? You might have noticed over the last few years the number of ads in your feed telling you to move to Bali or to move to Thailand and work online has gone down. It's been replaced by other stuff, no doubt about it, but there's been a rise and a fall of the whole digital nomad culture. And in this video, we're going to be unpacking into what the heck happened to what was really a absolutely insane trend at the time. So where did it all begin? I would put it back, and I've talked about this book before, but I'd put it back around like 2007. So Tim Ferriss put out the 4-Hour Work Week, and that became a bestseller. And a lot of the methods that were detailed in that book was basically like hire a VA for like $3 an hour, have them do all the work, and you just get to go and, sip Mai Tais on the beach. This entire concept was based around like making passive income, which was pretty much sipping margaritas on the beach while absolutely doing nothing. It was really selling the dream. A lot of the things in that book were very good, like managing your time well, outsourcing to other people, buying back your time. It was like the start of everything that you see today in the world. But it really was like this peak, and it was like, you're gonna earn passive income, your net roof is absolutely going to go through the roof, all while you pretty much like don't really have to do anything. And then obviously everything has a trend, especially in the online world. So the methods that were taught in that book, a lot of it was like affiliate marketing, they all have gone through phases since then. So since then there's been, affiliate marketing, copywriting, everyone sells a course on how to freelance, drop shipping, fulfilled by Amazon, back to affiliate marketing, niche websites, high ticket e-commerce. Build an agency, build a Facebook ads. The amount of stuff that has been sold with the conjunction of like living the dream lifestyle is just, it's unfathomable. There's so much. It's been through every part of it. Everything's been cycled over through and through. And now we are where we are today. Over the next few years, since 2007 and Tim Ferriss published that book, it became more and more prevalent because around a few years after that, social media started to take off. And everybody was on Facebook, and then Instagram started. And then you could get an unlimited amount of content showing the lifestyle of the digital nomad. And of course you see it in your feed, you're like, oh wow, I wish I could go to Thailand and work on the beach and money would just pour into my bank account. And it really took off, and everything was glamorized by social media and what was happening in terms of that. As with anything, there's the come up, there's the peak, and then there's the fall. So the absolute peak to me of digital nomadism was like 2014 to 2018. And this is actually when I hate to say it, but I became a digital nomad for a year too. And it's kind of cringe. I guess I moved abroad and I never really intended to do the whole digital nomad thing. Like the idea of going to a new country every month or every couple of weeks and doing that indefinitely was never part of my plan. Definitely, I was thinking that after my first year abroad in 2016, that I'd find a place that I ultimately liked a little bit more than the others. And I would at least be spending 3 months at a time there. Maybe I'd hop around a little bit, but I certainly was not going to be getting on a plane every month to go to a new place and having to start from zero. To me, that sounded just completely and utterly exhausting. And there was no part of me that wanted to do that in the long term. For a year, 24 years old, doesn't sound too bad. After that, no, not going to happen like that. But 2016-ish, the peak. And this is when like drop shipping was big. And there was that course called like Dropship Lifestyle sold by that, what was his name? Like Anton something. That was just huge, and almost like just basic people in my day-to-day life knew all about this program. And Dropship Lifestyle, like this is the lifestyle. You go and you sell this crappy product from China, and you go and you move to Thailand with all the other drop shippers, and you live on the beach, and it's happy ever after. And this is also when social media was beginning to peak, and the people that could advertise these kind of programs and these kind of results were having these platforms where at the time it was all very organic. Like, a few years ago, you could post something to Instagram and it would just take off unprompted. You didn't need to boost it. You didn't need to run ads. It was all just organic if you had the right photos, the right lighting, the right angles. And it was extremely attractive to people because you would just be scrolling through your feed and you'd see all these people having success with drop shipping or whatever else was being sold. And it was very natural then that you would want to do the same thing. At that time, the dream was just more popular than ever. And like I said, I don't want to say I was part of it. I was never like a full digital nomad, but all the people I met my first year in Eastern Europe when I was going to Krakow and then Kyiv and then Prague and then Vilnius and all these other places, like I met so many people just, I'm here for a couple weeks, checking it out. I'm doing the digital nomad lifestyle. And it really was just this phase, and it was across multiple sectors, which was interesting too. So at the time I was running my dating blog, This Is Trouble, and it was like you had a whole game community of digital nomads that were all like really scrapping by, and they were basically going to cities just to meet girls, and they had a little online business. Then you had the people who actually were like they lived and loved the lifestyle of the digital nomad. Like they weren't about girls and dating, they were about the travel experiences. And everyone just, there was just this, it was like a cult following just everywhere, every industry. Everyone had these kind of people that were just going to a place for a month, checking it out. And I think the real hotspots were Southeast Asia, because it was so cheap. And that was like the pitch, was you can live off of $1,000 a month. And for a while that worked, and a lot of people were interested in that. But over time, people started to realize that, sharing a villa in Bali with 7 other people, all that are digital nomads, was not really the dream life that they were actually hoping to achieve. So that's when it kind of started to fall off. In the peak of that, the other thing you saw were the masterminds, like the things I was talking about earlier, and basically people offering a frictionless experience, like become a digital nomad tomorrow, book your one-way ticket, come out here to Thailand, live the life with me, those kind of things. And it was like, obviously it's always been like this in terms of making passive income. So back in the 90s, early 2000s, it was like Mary Kay products, Cutco knives, where you'd have all the soccer moms in the neighborhood, in that big pyramid scheme. You got the one bad bitch at the top. She's managing all the other people. She's making all the money, and all these other people are selling these crappy products for, pennies, basically. This was no different, except this time it became digital, and it removed that friction of having to house and inventory products, and it just became, now you can drop ship. So really it was like that kind of door-to-door sales with knives and, Mary Kay products. Those are the two that always come to mind for me. It eliminated all of that. It eliminated having to have the knives or the cosmetics at your house, and instead you could just ship something from China, which then made it so you only have to make so much money. You don't really have to buy in. Your only startup cost is my course or my mastermind or whatever else was being sold. But it was a huge industry. And of course, everything since, you see so much stuff now. It's all basically spawned off of this whole, dropship lifestyle, affiliate marketing lifestyle. Be a digital nomad, sip your Mai Tai on the beach, don't even have to work. It all started here. Everything that you see today, which is, it's more advanced, it's more sophisticated now, but everything you see today is like basically spawned off of this. I would say that's reasonable. Part 3, the fall of the digital nomad. This probably started in like 2019. People started to become a little bit more aware, like even in my friend circle, where a lot of us had been traveling so much, like new place every month for so many years. At this point, I'd already been abroad for 3 years, and I'd settled down in Ukraine at that point. Even you could just see the shift. People were like, okay, it's exhausting to move to a new place every month. It's exhausting to find a gym. It's exhausting to find the best restaurants or cafes. It's all just adding up. So when you go somewhere for a month, by the time you get there and you scope things out and you figure out what's good and what's not, the reality is you've probably lost a week to 10 days of the month. And having to start over repeatedly is not really that attractive, especially if you ever have aspirations of taking your business, beyond $1,500 a month, which is what, digital nomads are like, oh yeah, you only need $1,500 a month to live anywhere in the world, or, whatever they say. People start to realize that's not really the dream life, and it all adds up. A train ticket here, a flight there, visa run there, it all adds up. It's no longer possible to live somewhere for like $1,000 a month. I don't think it's true anywhere in the world, to be honest. The other thing that happened was that the word started to get out. So, from 2016 onwards, everyone was flying out to Chiang Mai, Thailand to live for $800,000, $1,200 a month. And maybe they have success, but I think most people didn't. Most people had a small cushion of savings, and I was in the same boat. I had $20,000 saved up when I bought my one-way ticket to Eastern Europe. I knew that if I didn't make it, I had a year and a half of expenses, and I kind of told myself, like, I don't deserve to make it. If I can't make more than $1,500 a month in a year and a half of being abroad and being a business owner, which I wasn't at the time, I don't deserve to make it. And I think that's what happened. So 2016-ish, everyone starts booking the one-way tickets. They all start going all in on it. And by like 2018, people are running out of money. And, maybe they've had a little bit of success here and there. And certainly some people have had real success. Like those stories are true, but a lot of them didn't. And so around that time, they all start to kind of, the word starts getting out like, oh, out of every 100 people that booked a one-way ticket to Thailand, how many of them had to return home and blew through all their life savings and didn't make it? Probably that number is 95 or more. People started just to wake up to it. And then, of course, COVID happened. A lot of people stranded in a foreign country, like, all sorts of restrictions. And they were crazy about that stuff in Asia too. They were locked down, like no leaving your house, out in Eastern Europe and Ukraine. I remember it was probably the most chill place you could get during COVID. And people were just stuck inside, and that killed the dream right there, because then for the next couple of years you always had to worry about restriction this, restriction that, and of course we all know now it was a bunch of bullshit. So obviously COVID happens, everyone has to go home, or everyone's stuck and then says, I don't want to be stuck in a country where I have no rights, I'm not a citizen. They all go home. And people start to just realize that it's a cancer for productivity. People realize that 3 weeks here, 5 weeks there, blah, blah, blah. Like, I can't actually get anything done in this time period. And that's just the reality of things. Like I said, a week, maybe 10 days of your month in a place is spent figuring the place out. And that's just not sustainable in the long term. If you think about it, like, if you're building a business, you should be working pretty much every day. So you got 30 days of the month, and then that's like 10 of them that you're kind of half-assing it, and you're really not as productive and focused as you could be. And that's, assuming most people don't work weekends, because I don't think most people do, that's even less time to actually build a business and build yourself a sustainable income source that you could actually expatriate somewhere instead of just digital nomading somewhere. And the other thing that happened is everything just got saturated. And I'm not one of those people that thinks like, oh, it's saturated, it can't be done. Actually, saturated in some ways is good, because it proves that there's been success. Like, you don't want to start a business that no one else has ever had success with before. That's just silly. Someone else should be selling what you're selling. But when it's hundreds of thousands of people all selling the same fidget spinners off AliExpress or whatever other, crap there was, it gets saturated. Like, you can't have millions of fidget spinner businesses. It's just not going to work that way. And then the entire appeal of working online changed with COVID, because all of a sudden everybody was working remote. So it was not this shiny thing that, oh, I get to work remote and make a salary. A lot of people started looking and saying, wait a minute, I can work at home a normal job and make 10 times what I was making as a digital nomad, or what they could make. And I think a lot of that, it just changed. It changed that whole shift on remote work, online work, and now, of course, it's shifting back a few years later. But a lot of people realized that being just home in your pajamas in a place that you're comfortable with was a lot more appealing than, visa running out of Thailand every 90 days. It just was. I think the reality is that the world has just kind of moved on. You don't see anywhere near the digital nomad funnels, ads, or just general biz ops setups that you saw a few years ago. The world's moved on. It's probably not coming back, and it's a combination of everything I listed before. It's, the lifestyle is just not as appealing for a lot of people. It's that it's been saturated. It's that everything has gotten more expensive. You can no longer live for $800 to $1,200 a month really anywhere in the world. Everything has changed. So the reality is the world of digital nomadism is probably done.